Hey there, Russell here from Adelaide West Physio and Pilates. We had an excellent question the other day, which was what would the top 3 or 4 exercises be that you would consider to give to someone that does a lot of work at a desk? And I chose 4, and I've decided to make this video about 5 because I think there's another one that would be really worth including in that list of exercises. So, I mean, there's lots of different ones. There's lots of finger stretches and things like that you could do. But for me, these are the critical ones for anyone that works at a desk environment. And that's most of us really these days, isn't it? Okay, so the first one is for the low back. And think about this one like, well, really all of these are, particularly the spine ones, are because the spine craves movement, or the whole body craves movement really. The spine misses out on a lot when you're working at a desk all the time. So the first one is for the low back, and it's for a movement that often gets missed. It doesn't get, your back doesn't get much of it in an average day, and yet it's the one thing that you instinctively do. If you've been in the garden, you've been bending forward a lot, this is the movement that you'll automatically do, which is bending backwards. So hands in the small of your back there. This is one exercise where you can let your guts hang out a bit. So you've got your hands in the lower part of your back and really arching back. And the idea is, you can't quite see it from the video here, but you've got to keep your knees straight so that the maximum amount of bend is happening here. It's not just bending your knees to do the movement. So hands in there, bending back. And it should just feel like a nice stretch to do. Maybe a little bit of discomfort even in the center there, but that's okay as long as it's getting a little bit better each time you do it. That's perfect. So maybe half a dozen of those for starters, for the low back. The next one I would consider to be, well, it's a similar movement really, but it's for the middle back, so more for your thoracic spine. And if you have your hands behind your neck and you're doing that kind of backwards movement, and so you're not looking to look upwards with your head pretty much stays just resting on top of your hands, but the idea is to be arching in the middle of your back. So that's the second one. The other way you can do that is with a chair, using the top of the chair. Now this chair is a little bit high as it is, but if you imagine if you had a chair that was maybe a fraction lower, you could use the top edge of the chair just to lever over. You can get a little bit of an effect on this one too, but using the top of the chair as a fulcrum. The third exercise I would consider is for thoracic rotation. So for, once again, the middle of your back, but and you can do it, there's lots of different ways you can do it, but I tend to do it just like this. So hands just lightly clasped together, and just a simple twist in both directions. Your pelvis is sitting on the chair, so it's kind of fixed, which means that you're getting a spinal rotation. So it should feel like a nice movement to do. And the other thing you can do if you want to create a little bit of extra stretch is you can use the back of the chair to help you to go around that little bit further. The fourth one is more for your neck and the top part of your spine, which is going back in that direction and doing a movement that we'd call retraction, cervical retraction. So going back and then easing off again. And if any of these hurt, what you can do is just see what happens if you do a few repetitions of it. Now, if you do 3 or 4, and it's actually getting a little bit easier as you keep going, then that's great. You know, that's fine. That's really telling you it's a good movement for you to do. If you did 3 or 4 repetitions and it's staying the same each time, it's not getting better or worse, then I'd suggest it's okay to keep going with it. But if you did 3 or 4 of those and it's getting worse, or it's producing some other pain, maybe in your arm or something that's going up into your head, then that would be a situation where I'd say, you know what, hold off with that exercise, get some advice from your friendly local physio, to have a look at exactly what you're doing and make sure that the movement itself is okay for you to do. But a little bit of discomfort's okay, a little bit of a feeling of stiffness is okay, generally speaking. The fifth one that I thought is worth including is something for your pecs at the front. So this is something that I find myself doing quite often when I've been sitting at the desk, is sitting back and just stretching back. So taking your arm back in that direction there and showing everyone your sweaty pits. Yeah? Saying to everyone in the office, have a look at my sweaty pits. But it's a lovely feeling to stretch through the front there, particularly if you've been sitting like that for a long period of time. So they're my 5, I think that's 5. Lumbar extension, thoracic rotation, retraction, and pecs. If you have any other exercises that you like doing when you're working at the desk, let us know in the comments. I'm happy to add to those, but they're my 5 core ones. There might be some other really good ones that you like. I'm interested to know. The other thing to say is, as important as stretches are, like I was saying at the start, your spine, your body really craves movement, which it doesn't get when you're planted in front of the desk for 7 hours a day. So getting up regularly and moving is another thing that's really important. So some people use the strategy of, they drink lots of water so they have to go to the loo from time to time. I really like that. You can set timers. I often use the timer on my phone. There's an app called Tomato Timer that you can use. There's various different apps. There's an app for everything, including getting up from your desk. But it's that variety that's very important. And then when you sit back down again, just make a point of sitting with your bum really wedged back into the very back part of the seat. That way the back of the chair is going to do some work for you, and you're going to be starting off in a relatively well stacked position. So that's just a little pro tip there. When you come back from standing up, moving around, going to the loo, whatever, sit back down, jam your bum back hard into the chair. Now, you might have noticed that I don't normally wear a dirty moustache. I'm shooting this on November 1, the first day of Movember for the year of 2021. So, please support Movember and get onto it. It's a really good cause. All right, cheers.